Welcome to How to Talk to Kids About Anything with Dr. Robin Silverman, a podcast loaded with practical tips, powerful scripts, personal stories, and simple steps to make even the toughest conversations easier. So get ready to get the information you need to make the impact you want from someone you trust, your friend, parenting expert, Dr. Robin Silverman.
You've probably noticed it, whether or not your child is an athlete. You've heard the stories, athletes burning the candle at both ends, playing multiple sports at high levels, trying to balance school and sports and friends for hours each day while sacrificing sleep and eating well and blowing off stress in productive ways. Parents, with their hearts in the right places, of course, we know, may be pushing their kids to edge up, work harder, get in front of the right people, get more practice, get the right positions, get more playing time, only to burn their child out, blow their bodies out, obliterate their interest in the very activities they once loved. But how could they not try? I mean, their kid is so talented. They may adore it at some point. I mean, it looks like it's not even work. It's just fun until it's not. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Let's discuss it today with Kirsten Jones. Kirsten Jones, peak performance and sports parenting coach, is a mom and a co-host of the #Raising Athletes podcast with Susie Walton, as well as a motivational speaker. Her first parenting book, Raising Empowered Athletes, which I read, just launched August 8th, 2023 from Triumph Books. Kirsten is a Hall of Fame D1 volleyball player from William and Mary in Virginia and 15-year Nike executive. She's got clients that include teen athletes and their parents, of course, where she helps them learn how to reach their goals by releasing their limitations. We have so much to learn from Kirsten. Hello, Kirsten. Welcome to How to Talk to Kids About Anything.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you. And as you know, we have parents listening in, we've got educators listening in, we've got coaches listening in from all around the world. Before we jump into our conversation about your new book, can you tell us what lights you up and energizes you?
Ooh, good question. I love helping people figure out what's holding them back. And so much of what we do in life is between our ears. And whether we tell ourselves a story about what's possible or what's not. And I love doing it with all people. And so, but right now I'm focused on helping parents and their athletes figure out what those things are and helping them get out of their own way so that they can live their best life.
Your book is very well researched in terms of your personal experience. I mean, you really provide a lot of stories of kids that we can relate to. I was reading your book, and there was one sentence very early on that caught my eye, and I started. People know I read with a pen in my hand, okay? And you were telling a story about a very talented boy who did both basketball and soccer. I'm sure you know who that is. He had played full out, practices games, and wound up with stress fractures. I think you even said like he wound up like looking like a question mark. It was just so visual. Anyway, when you spoke to his dad, he said, "I'd like a do-over. I know I wouldn't make the same mistakes again." We talk so much about do-overs on this podcast. Parenting provides the ultimate do-over. I always say it like you mess up, you can try again. And then I wrote in the corner of that page, but not here. Not here. You don't get a do-over here, which is really, really tough. You even later say in a totally different chapter, you're talking about one girl who only got like 4 to 5 hours of sleep per night. And I like wrote like excelling versus health. Again, same sort of thing. Anyway, when seeing talent in your child who seems to love sports and seems happiness when they're participating, it's hard not to think like, oh, I would do the same thing that the father did. Like, hey, like, let's do more. So backing up, what advice would you have had for that dad who was helping his son set up that sports schedule, what would you have wanted him to do in hindsight?
So I believe we all parent from where we are with what we got from what we know. I don't think there's any parent out there that's like, ooh, I'm going to really screw up my kid. No, of course not. We're not starting from that position. We're starting from a place of, hey, I see my kid doing well. And this particular kid, he was big early. He hit puberty early. So, in middle school, he was dominating soccer and he was dominating basketball. So what parent wouldn't say, of course, do both? It's not till we have the power of hindsight when we look back on some situations, and able to have perspective to say, gosh, maybe doing 8 days a week of both sports wasn't good for him. And so that's what this book is for those parents who are on the front end of this experience, who are looking forward and seeing that opportunity. We need to be that, that timeout, that one, like, you know what? Sorry, you're going to miss that practice, or sorry, we're going to go on this vacation because we need to take care of your health. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And we're treating these athletes at 5 and 6 and 8 and 12 like they're pro athletes, and they're not getting rest. They're not getting sleep. They're not getting the nourishment they need. And it's leading to overwhelm, breakdown, opting out. And right now we're seeing over 70% of kids by age 13 are leaving sport altogether. Why? Because they're not having fun. Why? Because the parents, the adults, the coaches have made it not fun. Why? Because it's a full-time job. And kids' full-time job should be playing, should be learning about who they are as people by exploring, by being curious, and by learning through doing. And we're taking that opportunity for creativity out because we pigeonhole them really early to say, nope, you've signed up for this. We're going, you said at 8, this is what you wanted to do. We're going to be all in until you get to the pros. That's the way it works.
I really appreciate the hard truth, that those are all truth bombs that we really need to know about. And I don't remember who it was who said it. I've been doing this podcast since 2017, but somebody was basically saying, like, we have to be our child's frontal lobe, while they're developing, and understanding that their brains are still developing. So they're not necessarily going to be able to think long-term and understand that what they're doing to their developing bodies and their developing brains right now can be damaging. So we have to be their frontal lobe. We need to kind of take ourselves out of it and look at it from the perspective of somebody who cares, but also somebody who, is able to have their frontal lobe fully intact at that moment and say, as you were saying, like, we need to be able to take a vacation. Like, nope, we're going out to dinner. We're not going to be able to make that practice, and understanding that your child may, be worried about how that might backfire, but that in the long run, it's that long game. It's that, how are you going to be later on in life? That's going to make the difference. Is that correct?
Yes, and I get it. Some people are going to be like, well, she's nuts, and that's not going to happen because we're all in. Maybe she raised kids that weren't all in, and that's not true. 2 of my sons are D1 athletes, and my daughter's playing high school volleyball. But what I am saying is, you need to check your own family values, and check regularly, and check in with yourself as a family about what's most important to us. We made the mistake of letting our son miss 2 practices because it was the week of Thanksgiving. The kid didn't touch the floor for 2 weeks after that because he missed 2 practices. I think it's okay that my son missed practice to go to his family, to be with his family for Thanksgiving, but that's a personal decision. There are some families that are like, okay, well, we're not going to do that, and that's fine. But you only get 18 years with them, and then they're gone. So you have this very limited amount of time to make memories with them and to have family opportunities. That's really you can throw all the money you want at other things, but it's about the memories of how you guys interact and what experiences they have with you that are going to take you far beyond the pitch or the pool or the playing field. And that's what I'm advocating for.
This is good stuff. Obviously, your book just came out. And my book is coming out, How to Talk to Kids About Anything. Everybody, please get my book, get her book. Like, this is like, we've spent so much time. This is our heart and soul. Please get these books and support us. We're not famous people who, can just put some tweet up and it's going to be viral. So we're relying on you and we appreciate it. And if you get our books, please write a review. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, it could be the exact same review. It'd be really helpful. Now, you talk about considering a big question. Whose dream is it? And we hear quite a bit about parents living vicariously, don't we? You talk about being a potter, not a promoter, making it a positive experience rather than a negative one. What do you want parents who are listening to consider when pushing on the accelerator for their child in sports and activities?
There are only 6 words that our kids need to hear us say on the way home from the game, on the way there. I love to watch you play.
Yes.
That's it. I love to watch you play. Not that coach is a jerk, not that kid shouldn't have taken the shot, not what were you thinking in that moment. We need to take ourselves out of it. We need to sit back and allow them to have the journey. And what you'll find is most times, by the time they get from the car to the yogurt shop, the game is in the rearview mirror. They've gotten over it. We carry it around with us, and we want to talk about it and we want to perseverate on it. And if parents, you can't resist that, say, give them 24 hours and the next day say, hey, do you want to talk about this? Nah, I'm good. Or, yeah, actually, Dad, I would love to discuss it with you. Ask good questions. And here's the problem. We know the answer. We know what went wrong. We were once where they are. We can tell them the answers. No, allow them to come up with the question. Allow them to give you their point of view and ask for their input. And it's when we do that they get to process it. They get to learn. And, the equivalent is, I'd say, like when you come home from the office, if people do that anymore, but when somebody starts peppering you with, what did you do? And how did you do it? And it's the equivalent, right? Where, the joke is the kid's like, trying to just play the soccer game. And I've got a client right now where her dad texts her during her soccer game. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? She goes, yeah, he'll look at me from across the field and say, your phone. And she goes, I'll have to go over and like pretend like I'm just getting a drink of water so that I can look at my phone. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
He should not be communicate. I don't care what it is he thinks he's solving by sending you a text, but parents have no business doing that during their game. Let them play.
I love that. We did talk to another professional who said something similar. And I think that we really need to hit that home, because if our kids are participating in sports to please us, if they're wondering when they're on the soccer field, how do I look to my parents, then they're not fully immersed in the game. They're not having fun. They're not thinking for themselves. They're not thinking, what do I want to do? How do I want to play this? How do I, what's my next step? They're thinking, what's my dad's next step? What's my mom's next step? What do they want from me? Now, one of the biggest stories that did this very thing, that just over-involved parents, was that Varsity Blues scandal, and that we all remember well, but you'll remind us of a little bit. And I picked up on the very things that you did, and I really appreciated what you said in the book, that these parents who are trying to get their children into college by doing very underhanded things and saying that they were, crew members and sports members and had certain records and whatever, wound up saying these things wound up being very public, right? That essentially, I don't believe in you, and so I needed to take over. That was what I got from it too. Like you were talking about that as well. Like, I just didn't think you could do it, so I took over. I don't believe in you. So what are the lessons that we do learn from this scandal, and how does it become a symbol of what not to do with our child who is in a sports or sporting activities?
It goes so far beyond the playing field, and why I brought it up in the book was, again, I go back to when my kids are now 22, 19, and 17, but when my middle one was in the first grade and I was new to the school, we had just moved to San Diego, and there's a parent get together at the Panera to plan the picnic, and I show up to the Panera, and all the moms are like, "Did you do the book report? Have you finished the book report?
Oh, I remember this.
Did you get the book report done?" And I'm thinking, God, we were supposed to do a book report for the meeting? And they're like, no. The kids have a book report and it's due on Friday. And so, of course, I go home and I say to Parker, do you have a book report? And a typical 7-year-old's like, I don't know. Like,
Right.
read the book? I don't know. And I was like, well, let me know if you'd like some help. And he's like, nah, I'm good. Going outside to play. Flash forward a couple weeks later, I'm in the classroom. All the book report mobiles are hanging from the ceiling. And the veteran teacher, Mrs. Cunningham, comes walking over to me and starts laughing as she sees Parker's, the crayon and mangled, and there's globs of glue hanging off of it. And she says, "Some people don't think I can tell who did the work."
Yes.
But I can.
Yes. I actually had a friend of mine the other day say to me, "Oh, my kid had the cereal box activity where they had to like decorate a cereal box, and it was based on science. My son had titanium, and he made like titanium O's, that was the cereal box, and had to explain, what it was made of and all of that kind of stuff. He did quite well on the project. I'll tell you though, it was tough not for me to like just not do anything. Okay. Like he asked me for the paper. What did he need? Light blue paper to cover the cereal box. So he cuts it out and he puts it, he's in 8th grade, by the way. Okay. So like, it just should be absolutely no hands on, right? He glues it on or tapes it on or whatever. Like, and of course I'd be like, do you need glue? Like, do you need glue? Do you want, nope, this is the way I'm going to do it. Okay. And then there was this little sliver missing. And I was like, okay, hey, you have this extra sliver. Do you want to cover that? No, I'm good. I think it's fine, Mom. I think it's fine the way it is. I'm like, but we could just, and he's like, no, I don't think that's necessary. I was like, can I just, no. And I was like, and I'm a child development specialist. So I actually have the little thing on my shoulder that says, knock it off. Like you're doing that thing that you shouldn't be doing. And you tell people not to do. And yet here I am. I'm aware of what the thing is saying on the shoulder, and still words are coming out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it, but it was challenging, but I did not touch the cereal box. He still did quite well. But I'm speaking to a friend of mine who also had a kid just doing the cereal box. And she was like, yeah, I wound up doing I showed him how to cut it on this, like it was like a cutter, like not a scissor, like a cutter. And she was like, and, I helped him with it, because I wanted it to be, and a kid hear that I statement, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And I wanted it. And I was like, whew, and he did do better on the project, honestly, like not like so much perfect better, but like he basically did, a good amount better. And so you can hear why parents do get involved, because they know that it gives their kid that little bit of a leg up in the short run, because in the long run, my kid did it himself. So he did quite well. So he can own that, right? He can own that.
Yes. And if he didn't do well, and when Parker got a C or whatever,
sure. That happens constantly.
Right. Allow him to get the C, because that's what he earned.
Right.
And then to flash forward and he's in high school, same exact situation, having dinner one night. And he's like, gosh, John's, science project was amazing. And when I asked him, wow, you did a lot of research on it. He said, no, my mom likes to do that.
Oh, I remember that. Right? Yes, exactly. So, my mom likes the drawing, right?
Yeah.
Or my mom likes to make those nice drawings. And so I just let her
do it. And then his mom coming to college with you and his mom coming on the job with you.
Right.
That's what
No, that's a really
we're
good point. Yeah.
we're
No,
creating that. And the same thing's happening with youth sports, because I'm going to take all the pain away as soon as we don't like that coach, as soon as we don't like that club, as soon as, and we're not allowing them
that's
to
a good
learn
point.
from their mistakes.
I am really acknowledging how difficult it is. Okay. Because like I said, like even in that very small example, like I literally had to I had to not look. Like I needed to go in another room because I had such a desire to help. But what was that really for? It was for me, right? Like that's for me. Okay, like how am I doing? Which it really is.
And that's what we're getting conflated is
yes.
my parenting ego is tied to the bumper sticker.
Yes.
Oh, my kid goes to this college. Oh, my kid plays for this team.
That's a good
point.
My
kid was student of the month.
Yeah.
No, that has nothing to do with who I am as a parent.
Yes.
It has everything to do with what are we teaching them? What autonomy are we giving? Why I say empowered, take out athlete, put in artist, take out athlete, put in whatever, whatever your kid is focusing on. What we want is to raise children who have autonomy, who have agency, who are empowered to make and know that when I make a mistake, it's my mistake. Yeah. And when I want to really do the work, I also am going to get the credit. Yeah. These parents that are like, we won the thing.
Were you on the field?
Yeah, we provided the brownies, so we should get the credit. Like, no.
No, it's valid. It's really valid. One of the things that I gleaned from your book was this: if we want our kids to be great athletes or really great at anything, as you're saying, don't lean in, lean out, like lean back. So how can not getting involved help our children grow? Understanding that means not giving unsolicited advice, not making the comments on the drive home. Like, what is the subtitle underneath our child when we back off?
Oprah Winfrey had a show for 25 years. She had everybody from the president of the United States to the man next door to the homeless person on her show. She said, after the lights went out, every single person, regardless of where their walk in life was, asked the exact same question when the camera stopped. Was I enough? Am I okay? We all want to know we're enough. That's it. It's that simple. And by parents or coaches or teachers taking that away by being authoritarian around this is what you have to think and do and act and be, I don't get to know that. I don't get to learn who I am. So the gift is in parents or coaches sitting back. The best athletes I know, the Olympians, I live in Los Angeles. I'm surrounded by former pro athletes. And the ones that are raising their kids are leaning so far back because they know how hard it is, right? And they're like, if my kid wants to do that, they're going to have to work really hard. I'm totally supportive of it, but I'm not going to be, making sure that happens starting from the womb. If it's got to be intrinsically driven. And the athletes that are the most successful, or, entrepreneurs or doctors or anybody, when you ask them, why do you do it? It's fun. Doesn't mean I'm having fun all the time. Right. I work hard at it.
Right.
But I do it because I can't imagine not doing it.
Oh, love, chills, fabulousness. Okay. So if you see that your child is starting to break down, what would you say are the warning signs that we're supposed to be looking for that tell us it's time to have a conversation and it's time to back off?
The best parenting advice I've ever heard was to have 90 1-minute conversations instead of one 90-minute conversation. So parents, our job is to check in frequently and you'll see it because they won't be eating, or they'll be sleeping a lot, or they won't be getting enough sleep. They'll be, again, teenagers are their own breed, but it's amazing. My daughter was playing varsity volleyball last year, and they had 5:30 a.m. practice 6 days a week. You're lucky if you got a in the morning or at night, right? Like a grunt. She's not playing right now. In fact, she's like a whole different human being because she's getting sleep. I mean, sleep is a superpower. And when we lived in Buffalo for a while, the second graders would get on the ice at midnight because that was the only time that was available.
Right.
I mean, that is nuts.
That is full on bananas.
Full on bananas. And then have them try to get to school and sit and pay attention to learning, how to write cursive or do math. Like, are you kidding me? Right?
Are they doing that anymore?
Yeah. Do they do that? Yeah. It's a priority because we got to go to Canada because we're in a big tournament, or kindergartners are in a big tournament. And they need to be doing that. No, we need to start prioritizing them and not, and it's happening. What used to happen at pro then was only college. It's trickled down. I call it the professionalization of youth sports.
Oh, these kids, we call it age compression in psychology.
Opting out because by the end of high school, they've been a pro athlete for 15 years.
Wow.
Right? I've been doing this since kick and chase at 3, 4, and 5.
Wow.
And I write about that in the book too. There's the Stanford example of the kid who played golf, and the dad just said, "Hey, we love it. We're all in." He starts golfing. We're all 5 kids are going to every single event because Johnny's really good at that. And he said, by the time we won the lottery and Stanford came calling and we got the full ride, we're set.
Yeah.
He came and he said, "I'm done.
I don't like golf.
I'm done.
I don't even know I don't remember liking golf."
Exactly. And I don't like Stanford. And I'm not going to golf, and I'm not going to Stanford. And as a parent, you're gutted because you're like, wait, I was following your lead. You said you wanted to do this.
Right.
And at 5 and 8 and 10, I did.
Right.
But maybe I don't anymore. So checking in frequently, and it can mean them pivoting as a senior in high school. And I know we've given up every vacation. We've given up every, free dollar that we had. We've given up, some people say, well, there's my guest house. It's, the guest house is gone into youth sports because, or the vacation home, because that's what we've spent all of our summers and vacations doing. So parents who are on the front end of this, listen up. There's an opportunity to say, yes, we can be supportive. And yes, we want to support their dreams. But is it my dream or is it their dream?
Right. And making sure that you say, okay, I know my child's, and I know when they're healthy and I know when they're not healthy, and really like tuning into that, as you're saying, like, your child best, and being able to say to your child, here's what I've noticed. And I am first and foremost your parent who loves you and wants to raise you as a healthy person and get you, through this childhood and adolescence in the healthiest way possible. And I would be remiss if I didn't say something right now. Here's what I'm seeing. You're not sleeping. You're not eating healthy foods. You're not blowing off stress in productive ways because you don't have any friends. You don't have time for friends. You have friends, but you don't have time for friends. I know that you love this, but you also are not just that. And we need to give you time to be more than just this one aspect of yourself. Would you agree with that?
Yes. And parents, it's hard. And I know, again, it sounds easy to say, but like, I've got a pro and wants to be a pro tennis athlete. And if she misses one tournament, then her UTR goes down. If her rating goes down, then she doesn't get enough points. If you don't get enough points, it's like this quick descent into purgatory.
Wow.
Just by making
valid. Mm-hmm.
That's valid.
Yeah.
It's just about, okay, you say you want to take a week off. Great. Here's what the repercussions will be. You can't just sign up for, a lower tournament or a higher tournament to see what happens. Everyone counts. And that's starting at, again, 10, 11, 12, they're putting it lower and lower. The only thing I can say is, again, you have to decide as a family, What are our values, and what am I seeing in my child?
There
And
you
if you're
go.
seeing behavior that isn't healthy, then you need to be the parent and
Right.
not just the manager, not
Right.
just the one, the promote, not the potter, not the promoter, but be the potter, but say, hey, this is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take some short-term losses for some long-term gains.
Mm.
You may not get to go to that tournament, but what I'm worried about is your future health and happiness.
Mm. Mm. Give us your top tip. What do you want people to come away with after reading your book and listening to this podcast today?
That it's a journey and that we can do it together. And I say that as how do we support our kids, and how do we support, I think the whole ecosystem can grow. And I'm a huge believer in random acts of kindness and helping each other out and modeling to our kids and parents. If you're a perfectionist, if you do no wrong, as my co-host on my podcast, Susie Walton, says, get off on the wrong exit once. Just let them know, oops, I made a mistake. Mm-hmm. Allow our kids to see us being real, because it gives them permission to be real. Okay, you got a C on the test. Bummer. What happened? Mm-hmm. What do you want to do next time? Yeah. Okay, you got cut. All right, you're not getting playing time. And I'm probably going to get fired at some point. I'm probably going to break up with somebody. I'm probably like, this is life. Mm-hmm. And so again, some of these lessons I was speaking last week, and had a woman say, well, my daughter was told she isn't going to make varsity cross country because she took the SAT on Saturday. Ooh, right? Like, that just seems insane.
I mean, that's a good message for coaches. Like, come on, like,
right?
You've got to support this ecosystem too, and
exactly.
allow these kids to be humans and understand that there's more to them than just being on the playing field, on the mat, wherever they are. There's a future to consider, and somebody who gives up their opportunity to take the SAT because they are afraid they're going to get in trouble with you, that's not a problem with them. That's a problem with the coaching system then.
Exactly. Amen.
So give us the resource of the week. Where can we go to get more information about you, your book, and the great work you're doing?
My website is kirstenjonesinc.com, and you can go on there, and there's some free downloads. I would love for you to follow my journey. I'm speaking all over the United States right now in the middle of this big book launch, and I want to get in front of as many parents and coaches and athletes. And I believe this is a resource, and it's just a start. So thank you so much for having me on, and please, I would love to connect with people along their journey. Reach out to me, let me know how I can help, and together we can do this.
Love it. I'm so glad you were on today. I think this is just the beginning of our possible work together. I know there's a lot of synergy between what I do, what you do, me with powerful words, you with all the stuff you're doing with athletes. And look, our books are just like a couple of weeks apart. I mean, yours just came out, and really needing to make sure we remember to raise those healthy athletes. And there's a lot to this. And we can listen to your podcast, Raising Athletes podcast. And we also can get my book, How to Talk to Kids About Anything. And we'll see a lot of synergy between those two. I hope all of the people who are listening in today will remember to get this book and check in with Kirsten. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. It was great to be here.
Well, I've got my takeaways, and sweet friends, I know you have yours, so let's discuss them. You can go up to Facebook, to the Dr. Robin Silverman page. We can chat about it on Twitter, which is now X, as we know, on Instagram under Dr. Robin Silverman. I'm going to be going back and forth with Kirsten this whole week, so we can be talking about some of the things she said. Hey, there were some inspiring things we can put on memes, throw it over, like say, hey, listen to what this lady said. She is doing the work, and she is making a lot of sense. Let's put that on a meme. Let's send it to our friends. Let's put it up at our gyms. Let's put it up at our schools. Let's send it to the coach, because everybody needs this information. And if you love this podcast like I did, I hope you'll go up to iTunes and rate and review it. I charge absolutely nothing for this podcast. I fund everything myself. And in order to do that, I really just ask that you all support this podcast in any way that you can, which is go up and rate and review it. Give those 5-star reviews. Say a few words if you feel like it. I would love it. Tell a friend. And then more people will learn about Kirsten and her book and all the great work she's doing. And it's a good thing. takes so little time. I truly appreciate it. That's all the time we have for today, my fellow parents, leaders, and educators. Thank you so much for tuning in to How to Talk to Kids About Anything. For more information on books, articles, speaking engagements, or curriculum, you go to drrobinsilverman.com. There's so many great podcasts up there, and the show notes to this podcast will be up there as well. I look forward to weathering the storm and enjoying the sunny side of life together. And please remember, even on the days when you fall short, you've got this. You're here, you're getting the information you need. I know it's not easy, but typically there's a tomorrow. Of course, podcasts like this remind us that, hey, sometimes we can mess up and the tomorrow gets a little rocky. So listen up, all those people who've got kids in sports right now. You might be able to take some little tweaks from this and apply them today. Parenting typically provides us with that ultimate do-over. So if you heard something today and you can apply it, let's do it. I see you and I'm right there with you. And as there are moments when we doubt our know-how, our choices, and our sweet sanity, please know you are 10 times the parent you think you are. Until next time, this is Dr. Robin Silverman with How to Talk to Kids About Anything. Please tune in again and keep connecting through conversation. See you next week.
You've been listening to How to Talk to Kids About Anything with Dr. Robin Silverman. For more information on books, articles, speaking engagements, or curriculum, please visit drrobinsilverman.com.